Hey everybody, welcome back to Creating with Scraps. This is part 2. Last week I did a video where we created these little goodies, a little mini notebook out of all scraps. Everything is scraps. 2 little pieces of stationery. So the only thing that's not scraps would be like stickers and like tape and glue, that sort of thing. But the buttons are from my little button bin. This was a scrap of ribbon. These are words that I printed off, and I have little scraps of words, in my supply. And this little tag. So I debated about doing more like journaling tags and bookmarks and things like that. But I decided that I didn't use up enough scraps last week. So I decided to create some things that would use up more of the big scraps, make some more room in my box, and really make a dent in my scrap box, if that makes sense. So what we're going to do today, we're going to put these in my little goodie bin where I have little goodies made up, ready to go. So what we're going to do today is create an entire junk journal out of scraps. So it's going to be probably smaller, and we're going to use scraps all the way through, except again for like glue, obviously like the thread to tie the signatures in, tape, and then, did I say stickers? I don't know if I did or not. And then also some stickers. So I'm going to show you this one that I did last night, and I'm actually going to add a few more stickers to it because I did not do any stickers on the front, and I'll show you what that's made of. Then we're going to create another one with this paper. Now these are all of the bigger papers in my scraps that I thought would be good enough. They're still, some of them are still pretty small, but they would be good enough to put in a regular junk journal, like folded in half like this. Some of them are full size, and so like this one it's actually wrapping from some kind of papers, and I thought that this was a pretty good sheet. So it's not actually scrapbook paper, it's just the wrapping of scrapbook paper. So we're going to use that. I've got, as you can see, obviously, this was a scrap. I've got a lot of little holes cut in it. Scraps of like magazine or book papers. I cut something out of here. So I'm going to cut this off. And here's another example of that where I took something out of here. I think I used this in France and Flowers 1, but this is a huge sheet, so this would be great for a journaling or a junk journal page. And just little things like that. Here is one where I did, I guess I was playing around doing some sketching of some flowers that that's just where it went through, that I saw like on a walk, and I took a picture. I didn't like it, obviously, like enough to like finish it and paint it, but I still think it would be super cute as a journal page. This is when I did France and Flowers 2, and remember when I did the Eiffel Tower pop-up page? This is one of the sheets that I did of the map, one of the printouts, and it got all weird, and like the colors got all weird and stuff like that. So it didn't work for the layout, but I still think it's a great piece of paper. I still think it's a great sheet. So we're going to use that. So there's things like that. And what I'm going to do is off camera here, I'm going to go ahead and cut them down, cut off the bits that we can't use, and determine the size of the junk journal that we're going to do today. And before we do that, let me kind of go through this little guy. So this guy is created from the cardboard or the chipboard that comes in my my kitty's Chewy orders. And so do you see like the, it's got like the can marks. Now, a lot of times these are kind of dark, they're like dark from the cans. But I had a couple of sheets of it that were just like kind of pristine. So I thought, I like the texture of that. That's pretty cool. I like the way that looks. I then created a separate little spine out of another piece of chipboard and covered it with a scrap of cardstock. And then for the inside, for the pages on the inside, these are all cutoffs from 12 by 12 sheets of scrapbook paper. So, you know, like if it's 12 by 12 and you want to, you know, you don't want that size, you want it to be 8.5 by 11 or whatever it is, and you have to just like trim off that edge. Well, I had, as you can see, I had tons of them. So, so those are going to be the junk journal signature pages. So one side will be a pretty scrapbook page, and then the other side, of course, is plain white. And I just think it's so fun, and you know, like what a great use. So some of them are a little bit smaller, but most of them are about the same size. So this entire book is about I think it's 4 by 6. 4 by 6. It's got six page signatures. And then I did sew it in. I used my crocodile, which you wouldn't have to do. You can obviously use an awl or whatever kind of pokey tool you like. And sewn in with wax thread because that's what I have. I'm not going out and buying anything for these projects. I'm just using what I have. I even used a scrap of paper. This was like one whole strip and it fit in perfectly. Cut it in half for a little pocket on the front and the back. And then these are little, I was going to do buttons, and these basically are like a button, but I've had these about, gosh, I don't know. I want to say like 18 years or something like that. I've got a whole bunch of them, and they're like little scrapbooking embellishments, but they're like little buttons. If you can you see that? There you go. So I thought, well, you know, these would be really cute to hang on here for little dangles. Buttons are cute too, but since I have so many of these, I know it's not really a scrap, but you know, I figure if they're that old, you know, they kind of count. And then I had a long length of this tulle, and actually ended up cutting off about this much of it because it was a little too long. But that is what I'm using to wrap around here, just as a pretty embellishment. And then, of course, the raffia. I just have little scraps of raffia in my little bin here. So that's what this is made out of. So let's finish this up with a few little stickers. Okay, so as you can see, this is this is where the raffia comes from. So, you know, I think it looks pretty scrappy in here to me, so I'm going with it. But I just thought that it would be fun to pull in a little bit of this pretty blue color, and I still have some of these cute little stickers that I got at the Dollar General. I mean, you know, super cheap, and they're really cute. So we're just gonna like pop a few on. I feel like just to kind of fill up a little bit of this empty space. I'm not gonna put any on the back. And let's do one. Yeah, let's do one here. And I got one more, and then I think that's all of these that I have in this color. And here or here? I think over here, huh? Yeah, so that's that. So this is only one thickness of that corrugated chipboard. I wonder if I can find a piece to show you the whole thing. Hold on a second. Okay, so this is what it started out as. Here's a smaller one on top, but this is exactly what this was. So I just looked at it and thought, it's kind of industrial looking. It's kind of cool looking. I like it with the natural elements, and I liked not, you know, covering it up. It would have been kind of hard anyway with all the little holes, but that's what that came from. So as far as that goes, this little guy is done. And one more thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this be a giveaway for somebody. Anyone who makes a comment, if you're interested, I guess if you're not interested, maybe don't make a comment. But I'm going to give this away to someone. And so anyone who makes a comment will be in the running for that. And not to worry, I'm not going to, you're not going to get on any list or anything, like a marketing list, because I don't have that, and I wouldn't know how to do it if I did. And I'm too lazy. So, so what I'll do is next week I'll do that. I think it's like a random comment picker or something that YouTube has. I got to figure out how to do that. And then I will let the person know and give you my email address so that I can get your address and send you this little guy for free. And if you don't care for it, you can give it to somebody as a gift or put it in a stocking for a stocking stuffer. But I think it's super cute, and it'll be fun to decorate. I would suggest decorating it with scraps. Okay, let's get started with our other book. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to go in and I'm going to trim these all off, and I'm going to trim them in a way so that I get a nice length going across. These are going to be all different sizes, so I'm not sure what we're going to get yet, but I'm going to go ahead and do the trimming and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've trimmed these down, and I know that this seems a little radical because look at this, the difference in some of these. I am going to trim these longer ones down a little bit just to make them a little bit closer to some of these because some are quite short, although I don't want the book to be this short. That's 6 inches. I mean, that's not bad actually. It actually isn't bad at all. Let's see what we got going here. Oh gosh, that's like a regular page size, right? Well, it's 8.5 by 11, so yeah. So something like this would probably be a good height. You know, it's kind of like in between some of these shorter ones. I'll have to cut off some of these tops, and then as far as you know how far they come out, they're all going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to trim these down this direction, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and trimmed down the height, and I also had to trim down this width because what I'm going to use for the book cover is these sheets, also from my Chewy order. They give me a lot of supplies. I have to thank Chewy. These are really nice little sheets of chipboard. I think I am going to double it up. I think I have another one of these over here that is in good condition, but these are 5 inches. So, so I didn't want to go more than 5 inches out, and this is 7.5. So I made sure that these were no higher than 7 inches tall. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, I think that I have 16 in here, which would be 2 8-page signatures. So basically what I'm going to do, let me pick like a good front one, is just, I've already folded them, as you can see. So I'm just going to kind of, you know, randomly stick them in. I have folded them in different ways. So like, you know, one time I'll put it so that the pretty side's on the outside, and another time it'll be like this where the pretty side is on the inside, so that they're not all looking the same way. So I'm just going to start tucking these in and trying to be like, you know, have a nice variety of stuff. So I'm going to continue on. Okay, here's 8. I think it's a nice little collection here. Let me do the other one. Okay, I've got them both put together. I think I am going to have to trim off a little bit with the X-Acto knife, craft knife, and I'm going to take the bone folder and I'm going to press these down pretty well. I did fold them, you know, previously, but I did not do the bone folder just in case I needed to redo a fold, and I actually had to because I would have cut off my beautiful original artwork of wherever I put that thing now, that little sketch that I did. It would have cut the whole thing off pretty much, or at least half of it, so I didn't want to do that. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to trim these down a little so that they're even. Be right back. Okay, they're all trimmed off. I think they look really good. So I do have 4 of these. One of them has a few little marks, but again, it's going to be covered. I am going to cover this with scrap fabric, and I also have these little cuts of chipboard from the cereal box. This is another Chewy order, Chewy order for the spine. So it'll be sturdy. So what I'm going to do now is trim these down because they are 7.5 by 5. I'm going to trim them down to 7 by 5, and we will have our covers. And then I'm also going to glue these together. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I've glued these together. You can see, I don't know if you can see. That's 2-ply. So that is the 2 of them. They are now 5 by 7. So nice. It'll be still a nice size book. And so they're going to dry a little bit. And then I need to create the spine. And I like, obviously, the straightness of this one. And this is probably the least perforated. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to use scraps. So I'm not going to cut into another thing to make this spine. So I know that it has to be 7 inches long. What I need to decide is how wide does it need to be. And I think for 2 8-page signatures, I think like 3/4 of an inch or so is probably going to be fine. So I'm going to cut these down to, I'm going to use 2 so that it's nice and sturdy, to 7 inches by 3/4 of an inch. And I'll be right back. Okay, so as it turned out, when I cut that cereal box piece in half, well, I had enough to do two pieces out of it. And so I like the idea of that. They're 2 of the same kind of chipboard. This is plenty good for our little scrappy junk journal. So there you go. So I've got 2-ply of that. So the next thing we need to do, oh, I got an issue with the glue here. Why does it do that? Like it wants to keep coming out after I'm done using it. Okay, air pressure, I guess. So what I need to do is pick fabric or paper. Now the issue with the paper is that using scraps, oops, sorry, I got you off. I didn't have anything big enough that I could call a scrap to cover these with. So, well, I guess that probably would work. Well, now it's too late. Okay, but I have plenty of fabric scraps. So these are some of them that we have to choose from. Now, obviously, these little ones will not cover a book, but they could be used inside somehow, some way. So I've kind of narrowed it down to what I really like. I do like the black and white polka dot. This wouldn't be enough for the whole book, but it could be, it wouldn't even be enough for the inside. So, okay. So I do like this one. You know, this one's pretty cute too. That would be tight. It would be really tight because I wouldn't have enough really to fold. Well, I guess I can go this way. Think, Carla, think. That would work. That's pretty cute. I actually sold a junk journal made out of this. It was so cute. Okay, that's a possibility. I've used this before. This was Elegant Script. It's really heavy, so I think I'm going to pass on this one, even though I do have a really nice chunk of it. So we're going to pass on that. This is too small for anything except maybe to cover the spine. And this, let's see, yeah, that wouldn't be enough. This one wouldn't be enough, and it has some weird kind of tape mark on it. Like, oh, sorry guys, where I got tape. I had tape on it and it got old. I've had this fabric for like 20 years, seriously. So, but I do have a bigger chunk that I think I could even get it. Yeah, I can do it so that they're going the correct direction. So I think we're going to use this for the outside, and for the inside, I have one piece of cardstock that would be big enough, I believe, to do, oh, I just barely, huh? Well, but the fabric is going to come in a little bit. I can make it work. And it's pink, so it kind of ties in. I like cardstock for the inside. It makes a really nice, clean look on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and put the spine together with the book and do all that stuff. I'm not going to show it all because I've done several videos where I've constructed a book and I don't want you guys to get bored. I'll show you after each step, but I'm not going to go through each step because, like I said, I've got other videos and I can reference those or mention them at the end. So I'm going to get on with it and I'll be right back. So just to show you, I have put down some Fabri-Tac glue here, and you can see that I've kind of left a little gap. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to leave that gap. I'm going to take plain old masking tape. So I think it'll be perfect for this. I see I got a little bit more glue on there than I needed, but I'm going to try to lay this down, and then I can trim it off afterwards. I might even do two layers of it. Let me move this in a little. Although I am going to put some on the outside, so I don't know that that's necessary. So let me get this a little closer. We don't need to have a huge, I call it a gullet. I don't know if that's the right word. That sounds like the stomach of some big scary creature. But okay, here I go. So yeah, I've got a little extra glue. I think what I'm going to do is just kind of put another piece of tape over that part. Oh, but don't do that. Okay, I'm going to fix that, and I'm going to put a little strip of tape here and here, so it'll be nice and sturdy. Okay, you see I've got lots of tape on here. It'll be nice and sturdy. So I just need to not glue it down or tape it down, and trim this off. I'll probably just use my little craft knife here, and I think I'll go ahead and do the outside first. Now you can see how nicely that is going to open and close. It's because it's got a little bit of space there. I am going to take now the tape, like I said, and do the back side. So I'm just going to put like a glob of glue over dippity-doo, a little dabble-do-ya. So I'm going to do that. I don't know that I'm going to put the extra tape. We'll see. We'll see what I decide to do. Okay. Okay, as you can see, I did go ahead and put down the extra pieces of tape. And by the way, the reason I'm using just plain masking tape is I figure most households have masking tape, right? I often will use packing tape, and most people have that too, but I think that masking tape is more, you know, more common. And you could even use like the blue painter's tape. You can, whatever tape you want to use. You know, you just want to be able to cover up that blue tape. So now I'm going to trim this off. I wonder, can I get by with the scissors? Yeah, I think that's going to work. Okay. Okay, look at that. We got a book. Well, sort of. The beginnings of one. I don't really remember now what was the inside and what was the outside. Yeah, that's the inside. Okay, because I had more glue on the inside. Doesn't really matter. It'll fold either way. But how nice is that? Scraps. Scraps and glue and tape. You don't have to spend any money. I love that. And we're using things up, and that's, you know, good for the environment and all that good stuff. So, okay, so the next thing we're going to do, and excuse me while I bend over to pick up tape that was stuck all over me. We're going to take this, and is it going to show through a little? See, because we're only using scraps, I can't really use another piece. I don't think I need it. I think that that's fine. I don't see anything showing through. So how did I do this? Okay, I was going to do it this way. So I'm going to cut this. Oh yeah, that should be good. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this down. I'm just going to cut it straight down. I can go as far as this, as you can see, and we'll go from there. Hey, you guys, remember this thing that I found that I didn't really know what it was? I'm going to use that to cut the fabric, right? Okay, so I got it cut. This little guy is great. Okay, so now I just need to cut off the excess. It's a little raggedy down in here, but that, you know, that is going to be covered up. So let's see here. I feel like you don't want to get it too bulky either, but I do need to come in enough. I'm going to cut this in half so I know what we have to deal with. Okay, so I cut it off. Oh yeah, that's good. Basically had 9 inches of this, so that'll be perfect. Okay, so I think I'm going to trim it to about here. Okay, we've got that cut. So now I'm gonna just fold up from the corners, and I don't think I'm gonna be putting any glue on this part of it because it's such a light fabric. I think it's gonna come through, but if we get it down good enough, we don't have to worry about that. So I'm gonna start with the corners. Okay, so I've done the little corners like we do. I just want to look at it and make sure that it looks good. It looks really nice. It's cute. I love this fabric. So now I'm just going to go around and I'm going to go ahead and finish gluing this down. Okay, I've got all of this glued down, and boy, am I glad I didn't put any glue on this part because you can see how it kind of bleeds through. Now, most of that's going to be covered up, so I'm not too concerned about it, but I'm really glad that I did it that way. So let's see. A little bit might show through. It might also dry, but if I really don't like it when it's all said and done, I can find a scrap of trim and kind of cover that up. But I think once it's dry, it'll be okay. Now I also am going to need a little piece of fabric to go over this, the center, just to add a little bit of stability. So what do we have here? What do we have? This is a little piece from Red Toile. That's kind of cute, but it would not at all match. Too short, okay. About this little guy, I think that would be perfect. Okay, now my question is, what do you think? Should I, you know what? I think what I'm gonna do is put this down and then this over it, because then I can scooch this over closer to the edges. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I have trimmed a little bit of this, made it straight because it was a little wonky. So I'm going to glue this down. This is how the paper looks. How cute is that? I thought about possibly using this ribbon, and I still probably could, as a closure and putting it under this, but I wasn't sure, so I didn't want to put it under there because I also have a piece of this, which isn't terribly long, but we might decide that in the end. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down, and we're going to continue on. Okay, so I've glued down our fabric on the spine. And I'm so sticky, I'm going to have to go wash. But I'm taking the bone folder and I'm kind of finding that little gullet to make sure that there's a room there. Okay, and I did kind of rub, I put the glue down on here and then kind of rubbed it around so that the fabric wouldn't get too, you know, saturated. So it looks like I didn't get a lot in the middle, but it's not going anywhere. And what I'm gonna do with the signatures is we're gonna go ahead and sew right through to the back. I often will do a hidden signature, but for this type of book, I think it's perfectly appropriate to do just to go right on through. I'm going to use white wax thread because it looks good. Well, I could do the natural. Let me look at that. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, I kind of like the natural too. Oh, what do you think? What do you think? I don't know. I kind of like the natural. We'll decide that. I'm going to go wash my hands and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm mostly clean, so I thought I was cleaner until I dried, but you know what, it's kind of presentable. Okay, this manicure is toast, so let's continue on with the signatures. Let's get those in there because there is going to be a third Creating with Scraps video, and that video is going to be where we are going to decorate this junk journal all with scraps, all scraps from this little guy right here. Remember this? Now, it's still really full, but it was even fuller because I took out so much stuff to use in these two books. So that's going to be the next video. So for now, today, we're just going to get these in here. And I think I did decide to use the natural because I kind of like the contrast and the sort of rustic look of it. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking anyway. Okay, so I'm going to use the crocodile. But you don't have to use that. You can use an awl. I have an awl and that works really well. I don't know, I have it, and so, you know, I'm gonna use it. I guess that's the deal. So, so what we're gonna do is, let's see, we've got 7 inches. I'm gonna measure it out. I mean, you've seen me do this many times. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do 3 holes. It's gonna be a 3-hole signature. So I'm going to make my 3 holes in the middle of each of these 8-page signatures, and I'm going to make the holes on the outside of my spine here, and then we're going to sew them in with the wax thread. And like I said, you've seen me do it before. If you want to watch step by step, I will link a couple of other videos so that you can see me do it. But for right now, I'm going to do this off camera and I'll be back. Okay, so just to show you where I'm at, so I went ahead and punched my holes, and I'm going to show you how I place the papers to sort of dodge where when it's really short, it wouldn't have gotten a thread, if that makes sense. So I'm going to show you that after they're in. And then I went ahead and now normally I would like to punch on the inside, but what I don't care for is the way the crocodile makes it kind of rough on the opposite side from where you punch. So it actually worked in my favor because these lines, when I was like measuring, you know, like it's in a line, right? So I was able to use those as guidelines. So I think it's going to work out pretty well. Okay, so I've done my my holes with the 1/8 inch punch on the crocodile, and I think that they turned out pretty well. So the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and sew in these signatures. And what I do is like 3 lengths of the thread. Oh, I'm going to use a natural, and I'm going to take a nice big fat needle, which is one of these, and I will do one set for you, and then I'll do the rest on my own. Okay, we've got a nice big needle, and it's all threaded and ready to go. So we're gonna start with this one. I should have clipped these together. Hopefully they'll stay where I want them to stay. So we're gonna start at the back of the book, and I'm gonna have the ties, I should say, on the inside. So I'm gonna start in the middle, in the back. I mean, there's only 2 signatures. This is gonna go super fast. So I'm going, as you can see, through the middle, and I'm gonna hang on to this one thread. Okay, so now I'm gonna come up. I recommend strongly clipping them together so you don't have to go through what I'm going through. I did on the other one because I had so many different sizes. But that went through okay. But do you see why I kind of planned it the way I did? Now this one is barely catching on this smaller sheet, but it is catching. So some of them weren't going to catch in the middle, so I put them on one end or the other. Oops. So now I'm going to go down through that final hole, or the bottom hole, and come on, this thread is really nice and lovely and thick. And then I'm going to go back through that middle hole, and I want to get this thread on the other side so that I can have a tie. I'm going to pull this through, pull that through, and then we've got a nice tie, and I usually like to sort of even it up. Okay, so I want it to be even longer. Okay, so I'm going to pull it nice and snug. It's nice and snug, and do we have it in the right spot? Yes. Okay, nice and snug, and we're going to go one time. I'm going to go around one more. I turn it over, so I'm going, I think that works, from the opposite direction, and then one more, like I say, for good measure. Oops. And we're going to do the same thing with the second signature, and I'll be right back. Just to stop and show you this, this is what I'm talking about with a page that is not going to be long enough to catch both, you know, all 3 holes. So I've moved it to one end so it will get to, and that will be more than enough to hold it. Okay, you guys, I have the signatures in, both the signatures. I'm going to carefully, I did do bone folder before, but I'm going to carefully do this now. Look how cute this is. Some of these papers I've had for like 20 years, and scraps, and I mean, look what we created out of almost nothing. I'm really, really proud of it, and it's not done. We've got more to do. So I'm just kind of, like I said, I'm gonna bone folder it down a little bit, and what I wanted to show you was my example of, do you see how this is a smaller piece? I knew it wasn't going to catch all 3 holes, so I moved it to one end. Kind of the same with this one. This one did get, you can't really tell, but it did actually, the other hole is like right up in here. It did catch both sides, so you kind of have to be mindful when you're doing these different sizes. As long as you're catching, I think, a couple of holes, you're good. Or, you know, if you get like 2 threads in there, I guess is what I'm saying. So that is the way that turned out. And we're gonna decide on the closure, like the ribbon that we're gonna use, whether it's, you know, a couple of these or that other one that I had that is in a pile somewhere. We're gonna decide that when we start decorating this next week. So like I said, we're gonna decorate it with nothing but items from this and maybe a few stickers. And I also have my little ribbon bin, so we're gonna use whatever we can find in here. So I think it'll be super fun. Don't forget to make a comment if you wanted to, make a comment anyway. If you don't want the little book, you know, just say, I don't want the book, but it was a great video. So let me find that little book so I can remind you what that looked like. Yeah, so this is the little book, and I think it's super cute. It's completely out of scraps and free things that you have hanging around the house. So again, make a comment if you'd like to win, and we will, I'll use the random comment picker next week and during the video, and we'll know right away who the winner is, and we'll go on from there. So you'll have a little gift or just something to play around with. So anyway, you guys, thanks so much for watching. As always, I appreciate you, and we will see you next time. Bye.